Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And down in San Diego is my good friend and co-host, Dennis Bithoulkas. How are you, Dennis?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great. We're here covering Legion, the very strange Legion, Season 2, Episode 4, Chapter 12. Which I like how they make that very simple. I know I've said that before, but I do. And what was a Sid-centric episode. And we were overdue for this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Sid origin stories.
The Sid origin stories. And it left us with, as many shows do that we cover, more questions than answers after the end. Especially with, just like, who's her dad? Was her mom a mutant? Yeah, she was, right? So,
well, no, remember they say that the mutant gene usually comes from the dad.
It does, but wasn't she reading her mind at some point? Didn't I get some telepathy vibe off them, or maybe not?
No, I think they're just
all right. Yeah, they did a lot of looking at each other, and it looked like they were like doing the telepathy thing.
But I think they're just kind of enjoying the silence. That's all.
Okay. Who likes to enjoy silence besides Depeche Mode? But yeah. So we start out. It left abruptly. Last episode where David was trying to get everybody out of the maze, and the maze, now that we think about it, should have been broken when the monk died, because he was the key to them keeping everybody in the maze. But Sid decided to keep David around for a little longer because, well, we'll get into that. We might have a very obvious answer for that, but we'll get into it. Because the joke will have more punch later. So we're in Sid's igloo, right? And
in a snowstorm.
In a snowstorm that turns out to be her mother's womb.
Yep.
Yeah. So she crawls through there, and we see baby Sid. So we literally see her origin story, right? And it's a lot of visuals. There's not a lot of talking. And we see Sid growing up. And this is kind of cute. I kind of like how they did this. And they showed baby Sid and just her hanging out with her mom and some sweet little scenes. And it starts out innocent enough. So we're like, okay. So it's her place in the maze is being young, being with her mom. We don't know what's happened to her mom at this point. But we start to see some stuff later. They jump scenes, but we get to repeat this 4 or 5 times throughout the episode.
Yeah, and we keep getting a little bit more every time we go through. We get a little bit more of the story and a little bit darker as we go along. At the end of the first loop, it's just Sid in a museum watching these two people kiss, and you're like, oh, that's kind of nice. And then when David shows up and introduces himself, she goes, I don't know who you are. And he keeps trying to explain to her that she's trapped in this maze. And she goes, nope, you got to go back to the beginning and watch everything again. He's like, what? And we start all over again. Like, oh no, it's Groundhog Day.
Yes, it is. But it's
Groundhog Life.
Or Groundhog Mind. So Sid, of course, we have a representation of a family on television, and there's no dad. I did want to point that out again. No dad. So I guess as opposed to a bad dad. But we know nothing about dad, and we never find anything about dad. She has no siblings. And I was thinking, as during the course of this episode, and this is what the episode turned out to be, it's the one thing they haven't gone into in live action with mutants, is because everything on live action has been the hunted and feared thing, Dennis. It's always been government versus mutants, blah blah blah. I'm of the mind that's a little tired. I'm kind of over that, and I'm glad Legion this season has turned away from that. But the one thing they've done a lot in the comics, but they haven't done it all, which is really the most interesting thing, is mutants get their powers around puberty, and that is a crazy time. And why don't you represent the bad decisions kids make, and we all made during puberty, except with superpowers? And well, they answered that. They gave us this episode, and I thought it was pretty cold, some of the stuff she's done, and we'll get to that. But whoa,
but the way they kind of played this out is that she's had this power all her life since she was born.
Uh,
Because
well,
her mother,
her mom was holding her.
no, well, her mom was holding her at the very beginning, but then after that, she's always swaddled, and like the mom goes to touch her, then stops as a baby. She always puts something between her and Sid when she's laying next to her. She never touches her, and she's always wearing gloves, even as a child.
Well, she wasn't wearing gloves as a little child when she was poking on the fishbowl and stuff. She does when she's an adolescent, and if they did, well, that's kind of inaccurate because, well, we know that mutant powers, at least unless they changed it, which they can, that's fine. But I got the vibe that she started wearing her gloves when she was reading the book, right? So that's when she's like 12, 13. Um, if she got her powers from the beginning, well, then they've changed something pretty, pretty drastic from X-Men lore. But again, it was just a flash of scenes with her mom. We've repeated this a couple times, and each time we go through this, it's David trying to just pull her out of the maze at first. We find out it's something much deeper, and it's a great character study of Sid, but it's also a great message of like it really shows you how screwed up it is being a mutant. Now, there's the obvious ones who like Beak out there, or Nightcrawler, where you can obviously see where it's screwed up, but like it's the subtleties that they really hammered home on this episode. That's good. Like she can't touch anything, and they showed that in the beginning. Like, she's rogue basically, and the fact that like one of your human senses you can't use, that must be screwed up. Well, we don't think about it at all because we can do it. So I thought they did a great job. They showed her like kissing herself in the mirror and stuff, and an awkward and weird moment that was, but it was cool. I thought it was a very deep emotional episode. Some people, like, I don't know, on the surface, if you're just looking for some good guys fighting bad guys stuff, some people might not like this episode. I don't know. I thought it was really good though.
Apple Crow actually brings up a point. He says here that makes it sound more like the mother has a touch-based mutant power as well. But later on, we see mom's boyfriend holding onto her leg. Yeah, bare leg. So that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, that kind of rules that one out.
But she's touching people throughout the episode too when she rebels and goes out dancing, and she, like her other arm is touching, and she's not phasing into people. So I don't know if her power is direct contact with the hands, or if it's any, well, I don't know, is any part of her body in season 1, but maybe that gets stronger as she goes older. I don't know, or maybe they just skip that part.
We saw her face kind of blur as she was bumping into people in the mosh pit, and I think that was her like jumping briefly between bodies.
Cool.
That's what it was. And so that's why she was kind of freaking out a bit, and that was her way of kind of rebelling as well, because she wasn't supposed to go out and do that kind of thing.
No, she was not. And her rebellion phase was pretty normal. And it's not like her mom was bad to her or anything. No. She did, but they flash back to the beginning every time. They don't do this progression of her, young and old. We just get to repeat stuff, and we get to see more stuff. So we saw one scene where the girls are making fun of her, and they said, poor little elf, keeps to herself, lives with her mom because her daddy's in hell or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's the only reference we get to Pops. And it made me curious about who dad is, and maybe he will come up later. That's always a good plot point, maybe for later. And that's where I got the whole mom telepathy thing, just because they kept on looking at each other. Like when she was sitting down and reading the book on the couch and her mom was writing, she would look up and it was just quiet, and they would just smile. And maybe they were just, like you said, enjoying the silence. I don't know. But I also, when that woman accidentally touched her during that one dinner party, it sounded like a muffled, like her mom was trying to talk to her, and it sounded muffled because her mouth wasn't moving. So I didn't know what the hell that was.
I think it was another one of just a brief switch.
It was a brief switch.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. That does.
And that way, that's what she started realizing, that she could fully switch over. Because I think it wasn't until, and I'm just going to jump over to this, when there's a boy that's in school when they're adolescents who keeps trying to kiss her, and because I see you keep looking at me, and she says, no, step away, get away. And he pushes her against the fence, and he calls her a freak and all this stuff. And then she goes, okay, you want me to kiss you? Because the other girls, the 3 girls that have been tormenting her, are there as well. We know that the boy's been put up to it by her, by them. And she goes, okay, you want me to kiss you? And she kisses him and switches into his body. That's when she realizes, I think, the first time she can really switch over into somebody. And she beats the shit out of the girls in his body.
With what was that? A
lacrosse stick.
Lacrosse stick? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
And then that
Switches
wasn't the most fucked up thing.
Yeah. Then she switches back. And I forgot that, when she switches back, wherever that person was that she was in their body, that's where she ends up being, and then their body ends up where her body was. So they switch locations.
Yes.
And she tells the principal or whoever, the teacher that's coming over, it's like, I saw everything. He just went crazy and just started hitting them.
Yep. Oh my God, that was
just like,
up.
God.
So at first David has, he's returned to Sid in the art gallery a couple times going, I figured it out. You want to touch somebody. She's all, nope, again. And then the next time,
it's the couple.
It's the couple. Yeah, there was a couple like making out in the art gallery. And for one, the actor and the actress had to kiss for, oh my God, that must have been so long. Cause I mean, imagine it probably took 5 takes to do that. And that was a long scene. And they're just sitting there making out the whole time. Hope they brush their teeth.
Can you imagine auditioning for that too? You don't get any speaking lines, but you get your SAG card.
You get your SAG card. There you go. Get an IMDb credit. Kisser in the art gallery or whatever.
Kisser number 1, kisser number 2.
Yes. Yeah. So, and it's funny what David says because he's all, one of the times he's all, oh, it's just because you're worried about what I'm going to see. It's like, I love you anyway. I don't care what you've done. She's all, and she lets it sit for a minute. And she's all, wrong.
And she goes, wrong.
Then he turns around to the couple and says, get a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's back to it. And at this point, and we talked about this in our very long pre-production meeting, I'm all, this is really a good artistic representation of a guy trying to figure out a woman. It really is.
It really is.
Pretty much like that. What's the great Robin Williams line? The only man to truly figure out a woman died laughing. Dun, dun. Just kidding, ladies. We love you. You're complicated. That's all. We're just simple beasts, food,
Yeah.
Yeah. Comic book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to go with that one. So yeah, then we end up going back to the, to the world, I guess you could say. And Carrie is standing there and she wakes up and she's like, oh my God, Carrie, where are you? And we can hear Carrie muffled, like, I'm right here. You got to pull me out. And she reaches in, and I guess he did kind of fade into her at that point. And he ends up getting pulled out of her. And at that point, we see, God, I can't remember his name now with the cane.
Oh my God, I'm blanking on it too. But I would like to point out at this point that I listened to Legion with headphones on because I already went on my sound diatribe. You can go back to the last podcast to hear it if you really want to hear it. And this show has the best sound, like, of any show I have ever heard. Like, we'll get to one later, but when Carrie is rolling around in Carrie's stomach, it's disgusting on headphones. It's like, it sounds like bad indigestion, and he's pulling her out, and it's like just liquidy. It's so bad, dude.
Oh, that's just nasty.
It was nasty. It was so nasty. Oh my God, what is his name? God,
Clark. There we go, Clark. Thank you. Yeah,
melted face cane man. That's what I was gonna say.
Because he only pops in for just a brief second every time, and it's just hard to remember him there. I had to go back to some old notes there. So yeah, Clark is running, kind of like fast tracking it down the hallway with his cane, and they're like, we're awake, and he goes, congratulations, everyone just woke up too. And everyone's looking for the bathroom because there's a lot of people that need the bathroom all at the same time. And he says the monk just jumped off the roof, killed himself. I guess he was the one that was causing all of this, and that's the reason why everyone all woke up at the same time. And they're like, the roof, what the hell? And they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. Like we said, everyone's woken up. So they found Sid and David, and they're still both in the not really asleep. They're awake, according to their brainwaves. It's just kind of an odd state, but they don't have their eyes open.
And yes, and what sets this show aside from anything is we've got this semi-villain, like comic book villain guy, who's who's he's funny as hell. He's so like he's running down the hallway and they're like asking him all these questions and he's like super irritated. He's like, everybody's got to use the bathroom and there's some monk on the floor and like, why am I talking to you right now? And he was like hobbles down I don't know. It's just the attention to detail of the show is what sets it apart. And I love Clark. I don't know why I like Clark so much, but I do. Probably because they fleshed him out really well. They showed that
flesh him out. Yeah, he's human.
Yeah, he's got he adopted son, who they play video games together, and his husband, who was like higher up at Division 3, who actually sent him in to go get burned, basically.
Yeah,
but he looks like the sweet one in the family, but not so.
Not so much. Yeah.
Nope.
Sorry, I was just saying. And Logan McLeod here says walking like you needed to go to the bathroom.
Yes, right. I recognize that walk. We all do.
Yeah, we all do.
What's up, Logan?
That was actually pretty funny. Yeah, yes. At one point I was thinking of, okay, so is it the love of her mother that she's missing? I was kind of trying to figure out what it was too, until we get to that point where I was like, oh no, are they really just going to go down that road about a woman that needs to be found out who she is, but anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they didn't do that. They actually
they did a little different. They
rallied on this one, guys.
Yeah.
So if you get bored at some point, stick to the end. Trust me. They're playing a White Room, a cover of White. By the way, the music was tremendous.
Yeah, the music was awesome in this.
Good. And they're playing a cover of White Room. And right at the point where it says where the shadows run from themselves, we see I wrote in my notes Sid being complicated. And she says again, so that we should probably get to the big part, which was
Sid. So basically Sid's mom, who's played really well by Lily Raby is her name.
Yep.
She's actually in American Horror Story and she has a boyfriend, and we saw that Sid comes out kind of dressed like a punk a little bit and says, I'm going out. And we see mom's boyfriend kind of give her a little wink that, you look cool kind of thing. And she goes out, and that's when we saw the whole mosh pit scene. And so we're back to a different loop again. And we see she wakes up in the middle of the night there, and she gets out of bed, but she sees somebody walking down the hallway. And so she gets out and hears the shower running, goes in and sees mom's boyfriend in the shower. So she goes into the living room and sees mom asleep on the couch. And she does something kind of messed up here. She goes in and
something kind of about it. It's pretty messed up.
It's pretty messed up. She touches mom and switches places with her. So her body falls asleep on the couch. She goes into the bathroom, disrobes, goes into the shower, and starts having sex with the boyfriend.
Yep. In mom's body, we must.
Yeah, in mom's
at this
body.
point. And I would assume this is the first time.
Yeah.
So, wow, they went there. I was just like, I put my notes were, oh man, oh shit, oh man. That's not very good notes, but it's like I was like, what the hell?
As Ed Burr said, oh baby, yes,
oh baby.
And then at the most inopportune time, they switch bodies.
Mom wakes up. Now, during the scene, again, I want to point out, it's nothing to anybody else. I guess I'm kind of an audiophile, but when she's walking up to her mom, we hear this record at the end. And it's just repeating back and forth, doing the record click.
Skipping,
it's the skipping, but it was done so well. And again, I don't know how good your sound is at home, ladies and gentlemen, but it was so cool. And it also meant something. Like we're at the end of the story. Like this is kind of what she needed David to see. Now, she needed David to see this the point of it was not to see me losing my virginity or anything. She makes a point with it. She wants David. The reason she's telling David to go back is to see all her dirty laundry. She wants him to see it all. And
that she's just as fucked up as he is.
Yep. But she's kind of come to a resolution where he isn't at yet, that in the context of the show makes sense, which we'll get to.
Yeah. So the boyfriend is arrested because he's in the shower with a 15-year-old girl. So he's arrested, and that's the big deal right there. And what is it that Sid says? Sid says when she's talking to David at this point, and she's explaining some stuff about love, and she says love is a hot bath. And what happens when you leave something in a hot bath? It shrivels. And that's what we can't rely on. We can't rely on love.
No,
we need to be, and what makes us strong is, and David finally, he gets it. He says, and by the way, her mom had been talking about this repeatedly.
Yeah, about being a survivor.
Being a survivor, and I actually kind of dismissed it. I watched it the second time around here and started seeing it. Okay, they were actually putting this in different, like every 10 or 15 minutes, I think is what it was. They actually had it timed.
Oh yeah, they were telling you
exactly
what happened, what it was, and it was. I'm paraphrasing, but she said, life isn't about just being a survivor. It's like you're a survivor every day you wake up. Basically, it's also what you survive. And I love what David said. I didn't get a chance to write it all down, but some are strong in the broken places. That was
part of it as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
Mom's thing. She was saying that the broken places. She goes, we're told by psychology that being a survivor is being broken, and she goes, it's not. Where the broken places are, we're stronger.
Yep. And
she says it's kind of like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill all the time, and that's what being a survivor is fighting that all the time, being a fighter, being a survivor. And so Sid says, that's when she says love is like a hot bath, it shrivels. And she goes, that's not what's going to get us through this. What's going to get us through this is being a survivor. And as she says, because they were talking a lot about different kinds of art and things like that, she says, God loves the sinners best because their fire burns bright, bright, bright. Baby, burn with me.
Yep. Baby, burn with me. And that was cool. It was cool. And she was also explaining that in this whole mutant battle, like, it's fucked up. Our powers are fucked up. That people will call them gifts and wish they had them, but in our own way, try growing up with it. Try growing up with this one power all the time, and and feel bad for there's a lot of mutants out there who, oh god, it's really tragic and cool. That's why the X-Men work so well. And they really got into how screwed up it is, but also that they have this fight, and love ain't gonna win it. She's full on Magneto right now, and Magneto's kind of got a point to a point. So
Magneto is right.
Magneto was right.
And so she waves her hand, and that world drifts away. And David says, we can go home now. She's like, yep, we can go home now. And they wake up. And they wake up in the room, and they both look at each other and kind of smile. And then you hear people running down the hallway. They're like, what the? And they get up, they pull the electrodes off, they start running over the hallway. And who do we see the guards bringing in? Lenny.
Lenny's back. None too soon. And one of the coolest parts was when they're running down the hallway right before they reveal Lenny. That's when they decide to roll the credits on the show. Exactly. And it's on the walls.
The opening credits.
Yeah, the opening credits at the end of the show, which was that's why the show fucking rocks. It's pretty. It's fun to watch. Even with character introspective episodes, which are normally a big old snooze fest, I thought this one was pretty damn entertaining. I had a good time watching it. I even made me think that I don't know, how would you feel that about with your significant others out there? Would you want to get in their head and get to know all like everything? I kind of would with my wife.
Details.
I don't, not dirty little details, but I'd like to, because you miss so much of their lives. It'd be cool to see them God, my wife doesn't even have that many pictures of her as a kid for some reason. I don't know. Maybe she was afraid of cameras. Well, she is, part Native American, so might have had something to do with that. But sorry. I did.
So also, I just don't know if you noticed at the very beginning of this episode, it goes from letterbox to full screen.
I didn't notice that, but I was watching. When?
So letterbox is when she's in the igloo, and then just before she births, I guess you could say, goes through the canal.
Oh yeah, I thought that
And
was just like FX or something like that. I didn't get that, but that was cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that was actually kind of interesting the way they did that, because it was supposed to be her going through and being birthed, and as soon as she goes through that, it opens up to the full screen.
Interesting. So interesting. And it was a lot like the second episode of the first season, which we completely shat on. It mirrored a lot of what David went through, and we could still argue that maybe they did that episode a little too soon, but it was necessary, and it makes all the sense of the world once Legion is best binge. Probably it's probably really fun to binge. But we don't do that stuff. So let's get to the chat now that we're done with our recap. Hello, everybody. How you doing? This is a fully interactive podcast. If you guys are watching this as a video, join us live. Go to nerdrotic.com. We have our schedule up. We pretty much stick to it. And you can join our wonderful chat. There's a lot of good people in here. Funny people, too.
Logan McLeod says, truly felt for Sid. We saw scenes that she described to us, but seeing them carried so much weight, and we're so much more traumatic.
Yeah, this is something that out of all the X-Men movies and TV shows that they failed to do, and Legion does it in the fourth episode of season 2. This is something you could totally get away with. You could do in the movies. Of course, you couldn't get that deep, but and this is why episodic television is better for comic books, because it's serialized. So, and you could only do so much in a movie. We got into Sid's head. It was like a book almost. And it had a lot of emotional impact, and it makes us see her I see her in a totally different light now. She's not like perfect at all. Actually, she kind of sucks as a person. But she's come to terms with it, and that's cool. We all love redemption stories, at least.
And we now know why she's so melancholy too, all the time.
Yeah. Well, there's no intimacy. She can't have any intimacy at all.
Well, besides that, I mean, it's just all the really messed up things that she's done.
Of course, but I mean, there's messed up things that you've done, and you have to come to terms with it. But you have zero intimacy in your life.
Yes,
intimacy is not all touchy feely. But she's actually put up a wall around herself too. And I mean, that's a big thing in the program I'm in. So it's very important to have that in life.
Viking Bitch says, I have never seen a uterus portrayed as an igloo. It's usually a warm place. She did have a little pit of fire inside there. That wasn't fire. It was cloth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that was on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think because she's not really happy about being born. So, she's very goth. That's it. We'll just say. Probably listened to a lot of Robert Smith. She did try to she was cutting herself with like a dull set of scissors. Yeah.
Yeah. As David said, you were cutting yourself with the dullest knives you could find in order just to feel. He goes, I've done that too. Viking Bitch also asked, Dad is in hell? We don't really know.
But them saying that, I mean, besides the taunt, it just made me think of I think her dad will come into play if this show goes to like 7 or 8 seasons, something like that. It would definitely be a plot point to come in. Did you get those first ones up the top there?
That's what I'm going. Apple Crow says maybe because they're all in Legion's mind. So in our very long pre-production meeting, we also brought up there's a line that Sid says, do you think, she says to David, do you think ghosts like being in the haunted house? And I think this is kind of an allusion to this is all happening in David's mind. All these people are trapped in there because we've already seen Lenny being, trapped in the Shadow King's mind.
Well, yeah, and they really made a point when White Room was on to be really quiet at the point where it says where the shadows run from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And which has a lot to do with that too. But yes, that is a definite possibility. I Hope it's something a little more than that, and I'm sure it is. But Dennis and I were talking about the aesthetics of the show in the beginning and how it's like confusing time wise. It is in modern times. It's clear they have iPads and cell phones and all that stuff, but the clothing is very 70s ish, early 70s
And
ish.
so some of the vehicles that they're driving.
Yes. So I think they're just trying to do a Batman 89 vibe where they're trying to make it timeless. It is modern, but it's timeless. And they were also mirroring the aesthetic from Days of Future Past because this was being produced at the same time that movie was being filmed. So and maybe just Noah Hawley likes that aesthetic, which I do too.
Viking Bitch says she's talking to Penn Farm Girl. She goes, I'm wondering if the ice womb has something to do with her mutant powers. Interesting. Kind of cutting her off. Well, I don't know. Because it still seems like a womb kind of thing, and the canal. I mean, it's very symbolic. But just being the cold section, the cold portion of it, I don't know where the cold is coming in from.
Well, hey, I wouldn't lie to you. I mean, there's things that confuse me about this episode. I always come out a little confused from a Legion episode. Need to watch it again, like with the whole mom. Like, does she have powers? Was she a mutant? But they didn't really spell it out, so she probably wasn't. I want to go to a comment here from it's like a response to something, but it's Omari Daniels. After Fargo, I wouldn't be surprised if FX and the folks at Fox give Howley free reign to imagine Legion how he saw it, or just as your flavor of the month comic book and DC show. Dennis and I are of the mind that he should probably have free reign of the X-Men at this point. I would give him the keys to the castle. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen, and I want to prepare everybody for this. When the Disney deal goes down, Legion won't be long for this world, unfortunately.
Yeah, Phase 4 is most likely going to be X-Men
and Fantastic Four. Yeah, because we'll get into that heavily on Friday, and this is a good time to plug Friday, which is going to be very exciting. If you're going to watch Infinity War, please join us 8 p.m. live Friday night.
Infinity War?
It's just some dumb movie, and we're going to have
a
big round table with Susan and Dennis, and we're going to be joined by Feisty Fan, Comics Division, and Eglantine from I Love Comics. That is very exciting. I'm super excited about that, and we're just going to talk Infinity War and nerdy stuff and all that stuff. But let's continue.
We're going to talk amongst ourselves.
Yes.
So Apple Crow says, or actually Logan McLeod said, it seemed like she had her power at birth, not like the typical age trigger.
Yeah, that could be. And maybe there's something different about Sid. Maybe that's the whole point of showing this episode, is like, she's not just like every other mutant.
And there's something about Mary.
They kind of.
Sorry, I know it was a bad
that
joke.
One landed flat, dude.
That's just pancake. I know.
Yeah. As I was saying, they kind of touched on that in The Gifted a little bit too, about not every mutant mutates the same. Okay, so and then they can, with The Gifted, they were doing the whole like, we can combine two mutants' powers. So yeah, maybe there's something different about it.
Actually, so Viking Bitch says, yeah, her mother kept trying to touch her as a baby, and the baby would cry, and every time, I was noticing this too. So every time she would try to touch her, the baby would cry. When she wouldn't touch her, the baby was fine. When she was a small child, and she's putting the pillow in between them, she was kind of a little fidgety. But then when mom fell asleep, she would wake up and smile. It was kind of a weird.
Yeah. So maybe her power was just manifesting. Okay. So maybe, maybe the touch did hurt the child, but it wasn't the full on power enacting yet. It took time to develop. So that makes sense. Yeah, I could buy that.
Yeah.
Because like mom didn't change. I mean, if she had her power, if mom touched the baby, she would become the baby. They would switch. So yeah.
Which would be bad. That'd be bad.
Yeah.
Bad Wobot says that dance floor was one thing that caught me. Her switch doesn't always need to be David level. Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't need to be at that level. Jody says at Viking Bitch, could it be a metaphor for Sid's mutation because she feels so detached from all human contact, sort of like Rogue? That was the igloo.
Yes. And I was gonna add live on air. Oh, so Viking people were talking about Doomcock. Doomcock had emailed me and said, "Oh, there's his email right now. Did I get it? Oh shit. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't. Yeah. So he got back to me on the 23rd, but he didn't come back to me with a solid date. So, and honestly, I don't want to air too much. There's been some family drama here. We got nothing between. Everything's good and everything, but we've had something go down that was kind of bad. So it's been kind of distracting. But we still come here and podcast for you guys. We're not going to bum you out with that. So we'll carry on. Carry on, Dennis.
Penn Farm Girl said Sid said in an earlier episode that the switches were short at first. So there we go.
There we go.
That's probably the mosh pit scene where she was kind of bouncing back and forth.
Yep. So that's where we got that little vibrating thing with the face. You said I couldn't see that on my TV. It was kind of dark though.
And Viking Bitch says I really like those Egon, and I'm gonna mispronounce the last name, Shield paintings. Those are the paintings that were in the museum. That
they were. Did not recognize. Hey, good call on that one. Albacore says, I don't know. One side, if people could read each other's minds, they might get along better. That's what I was thinking. Then again, when I've only one, am I the only one with dark, fucked up thoughts? I mean, happy, shiny thoughts. No, you're not. I think it would create. It depends. It depends on what you have access to. But if you could see, if you could, it would be more of a feeling thing. It's not like you could see what is going on, but you would feel their feelings like during certain events, and it would probably make you a lot more empathetic towards them, maybe, or scared to death. You never know.
How's your father says, was Aubrey Plaza in this episode? Yes, she was.
Yes,
but you have to watch the whole episode to find out.
You do. It was not Aubrey Plazless. It was.
And Penn Farm Girl says they haven't disappointed yet when she was talking about the show.
No, not yet. Not even close. This season could be better than last. It's starting out the same for me. A lot of people like the first thing, but I think it's been solid. You could tell they have a bigger budget, a much bigger budget, and listen, we're going to at least get it for 4 seasons. I have no doubt. I'm hoping for longer than that. And, I hope I'm wrong about the Disney thing, but I don't think I am.
Viking Bitch says, did a little research on Egon Schiele, the painter. I think there was a reason they picked his art. He was pretty fucked up.
Is that the clinical diagnosis there?
Yes, I believe
pretty fucked up. Okay. Yes. Most artists are. Like really, really good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Georgia O'Keeffe, she had her moments, but she seemed pretty cool. That was a fun museum to go to at Santa Fe, New Mexico. And
Ed Brewer says some get power, some get a third nipple.
I know, right? Oh man.
Viking Bitch also says, well, I guess we'll just have to enjoy Legion while we have it before Disney comes along and stomps it out.
Yes, I know. I don't mean to bring everybody down in that. Hopefully the deal takes a long time. But I don't know if they've announced a season 3 yet. Usually, if I don't know,
it's just 4 episodes in. That's why.
Okay.
The end of next month, that's when the second round goes through, because I know I'm still waiting on iZombie on that one. And that comes out next month as well. So.
Yep. And Omari Daniels was, I only caught half the conversation, but they did mention it's more about the 1-day ratings now. It's about DVR. It takes about a week to assess a show now. And that's not even correct, which is crazy. So what's stopping everybody from fully assessing a show? Because most people are tied to the internet or to a cable, and they do count your views. Absolutely, they do. They know more than ever when you're watching something. But the companies won't share the data. That's the problem. Like cable companies will not share data, and Netflix
actually
will never share data.
I'm on a beta test right now on mine, and they say specifically I'm part of a Nielsen rating right now because of that beta testing. So they're actually recording everything I watch, everything I record.
They're telling you they've been doing that for years.
Yeah,
they've been doing that for absolutely
years.
years.
No, I know, but this one I know is specifically. So that's why I try and watch it through that on shows I really want to.
Yeah, the Nielsen's are trying really hard to stay relevant.
Exactly.
They're not gonna. They're not gonna. And yeah, the only thing you can't track is pirating or yeah, but everybody else knows, but they won't share. Netflix will sometimes share their numbers, but don't believe those folks. Those are BS.
Logan McLeod says the first birth scene at the top of the episode made it seem like Sid experienced her birth as her mother. Yeah, that was the first thing I got too. I
got that too.
And so that's why I thought she had it at birth. That's why she switched.
Yeah.
Which
maybe that's why they gave her the powers in the beginning to just show that scene, which is kind of cool, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Giving birth to yourself. Whoa.
Viking Bitch says, I'm already very emphatic. And it's not as fun as it sounds.
It could be though. What was that? I was drifting in thought now. Isn't it Miss Marvel who gave birth to her own boyfriend? I'm trying to remember now. Oh my God. We were looking up last night because we were trying to think of the weirdest comic book stories we've ever read. And in a very roundabout way, you got to look it up. Miss Marvel like gave birth to her own boyfriend or son or one of those two. Hey, you got to tell a lot of stories in comics. Okay, you do.
Yeah,
you got to fill a lot of pages.
So Jody asks, yeah, how will they explain Lenny? This just keeps getting more and more interesting. And Logan McLeod answered, the Shadow King created a new body for her, essentially giving birth to her. That is, if this isn't all taking place in David's mind.
Which we should just pretty much assume that after every theory we have.
Yeah.
Unless
it'll be an asterisk. It'll be a little asterisk. Or maybe happening in David's mind.
Feisty fan, what is up?
Hello.
Welcome to the chat, Feisty. Everybody's excited. They're going to see you Friday.
That is where I'm at the end of our chat, or I'm at the end of our comments here. So, where are we at?
All right. No, so yeah, so we can. Feisty, you came in just in time for us to quit. Yeah. And but she will be with us Friday. And it's going to be lots of fun. Yeah, Friday night, Infinity War Roundtable with I Love Comics, Comic Division, Feisty Fan, Susan, Dennis, and me. 7 people in a live chat. Let's see if the internet can handle it. But we're all experienced live streamers. Well, at least those guys are. But and it should be fun. Should be it could be a complete shit show, but it'll be fun for sure. Either way. Make sure you all go out and see the movie so we don't spoil the hell out of it for you. But apparently Forbes has gone out and done that anyway. Jackasses. Freaking jackasses.
They actually spoiled it already? I've been avoiding as much as possible.
Entire movie. Do not go. Don't support that asshole. What a prick. And you know, like, yeah, we spoil stuff here, but I mean, sure, I could have taken that article and done a video tonight, and it would have probably been ended up being our most watched video ever. But no, that's such a dick move.
Yeah.
And his argument, and I read the first paragraph before I went down, and his argument in it was like, well, you all secretly love spoilers anyway. And yeah, some of us like some spoilers at some times, but an entire movie, you know, and honestly, yeah, I mean, and it worked. I saw the amount of clicks he had on his article. It worked. Gotta admit. Yeah. What dick.
So Battle Marcus says each episode of Legion, it's like an adventure.
It is. Except
Yes.
if it's all in David's mind. It's still an adventure.
It's
What
like a
if it's
choose your own adventure.
what if we finally get a Patrick Stewart reveal, like when the series is over and it's just all in Professor X's mind, like right before the end of Logan? It's just one of his little seizures or something like that.
That'd be kind of messed up.
That'd be really messed up. That'd end it like a foreign film. They loved and then they died.
They pull out, you know, through his
Yes.
eye, and we see it's just him as he kind of gasps and gives his
Teasing.
last breath.
Yeah. Right before Wolverine kills him. Spoilers. Oh my
man.
God.
Feisty fan, thank you. Feisty fan just gave us $1.99. I guess I came in at the best time.
Some say that the end of our podcasts are the best time.
Some do.
Some do. Jody, to answer your question, I answered it in the chat, but Netflix, yes, they inflate their numbers, but I think it's more that they hide the ones they're hiding the shit people don't watch, which is a lot, a lot. But oh, dude, the numbers for Daredevil and Luke Cage and the first Jessica Jones and even Iron Fist were insane. They were insane numbers. So and apparently Altered Carbon was off the charts too, but Stranger Things is like by far their most watched thing ever.
Yeah, I guess there was some kind of thing about Altered Carbon actually taking a hit in some of its views because of that Cloverfield project thing that came out. It came out the weekend before is what happened, and they had hyped that up on the Super Bowl instead of Altered Carbon, and because of that, it took away from Altered Carbon's numbers.
Maybe in the beginning, but it was such a piece of crap that people jumped off it. And oh wow, whoa,
Bad Wobot, thank you for $5, and Penn Farm Girl for the $1.99. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Oh, it's Feisty shouting. It's Feisty, but it's also you guys are wonderful. It's never going to stop being surprising. Okay, so like we're if we're 10 years in, and we're still going whoa, yeah, it's genuine. Guilt trip super chats, best kind. How's your father? Just kidding.
Hey, Bad Wobot, since you couldn't include the message, was there anything that you wanted?
Yeah,
for that, just let us know.
Do you want Dennis to come over and mow your lawn or?
I don't do windows.
I was just gonna say do the windows. Oh, he dusts though. He's really good at it.
Vero Migisha says, could it be because people like me keep playing them over and over again for background?
Maybe.
Possibly.
That's me too. Guilty. Doctor Who's my favorite to play in the background when I'm like cleaning the house and stuff.
It's not free labor. It still costs money.
It still costs money, Feisty. Oh man.
Hey.
Altered Carbon and Lost in Space are solid Netflix series. Logan, agreed.
Yes, and thank you for the $5.
And thank you so much for the $5. $5 super chat from our one of our newest patrons, Logan McLeod. You know what? Wasn't there a comic artist with the last name McLeod, and I always called him when I was a kid McLeod. I didn't know better.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think there was one.
Bob McLeod. Bob McLeod. Yeah, Bob McLeod.
Yeah.
And
I had to think back, man. That was pulling a brain muscle there, trying to figure that one out.
No, I didn't know how to say that name until I saw Highlander.
Bad robot. Wobot says, haha, no, just keep doing what you're doing. So
Edward Brewer says the Doctor's theme is my ringtone. It was mine for the longest time. My ring, and it's a great ringtone. Mine now is the Paint It Black Ramin Djawadi from Westworld.
Viking bitch says, Dennis, can you come and paint my house? Sure, I get to choose the colors though.
Hey, he painted his own house. He did an okay job. I'll fully critique it when I see it for Comic-Con. Oh man.
Hey, geez.
Spoilers, sweetie.
Clever girl.
That'll
never get old. That
you know, if that Gary, what if that Forbes posted article is fake spoilers? Then that would be the ultimate best trolling job, and that man would have all my respect. If it was a trolling job, I mean, not to keep any reviews quiet or spoiler free for a while. That would be awesome if they did that. I would. Oh my god, that would be the best thing ever. Somebody needs to do that with a movie at some point, just to completely hoodwink people. I wonder if that's it. I didn't even think of that, Jody. Genius.
Apple Crow's taking off here, so good night, Apple Crow.
Good night, Apple Crow. Actually, we're going to be taking off too.
Yep,
we're going to be taking off too, because it's 10 o'clock, and I'm sure it's very late for you guys out there. We will be back again tomorrow night for The Expanse and Krypton.
Does that take place in East LA?
It is. No, it's Compton.
Yeah.
Straight out of Krypton. There you go. Oh my god.
Man.
Is that going to be the Zod family story?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Oh my god. I'm gonna get fired for that one. I know. I like Krypton really rallied last episode. I thought it was quite good. You needed a laugh. Everybody needs a laugh. Dolt. On that note, before I get myself in more trouble, excuse me, we should probably roll out. We have wonderful patrons. You know that, Dennis? Did you ever hear of Patreon?
Yeah, I've heard of Patreon. I don't know what that is. Can you tell us?
Let me tell you. We have patrons, and they're on a thing called Patreon. And sometimes I don't know if I should call them patrons or Patreons.
And there's tiers. Get that mixed up?
There's tiers.
Patreons.
There's tiers on our Patreon, but here are our patrons who are on Patreon. The ones
confused with pastries,
which should not be, because you can't eat our patrons. Well, you could, but it's only if you crash on a plane with a soccer team somewhere in South America.
That's Westworld. That's a different show.
Is that Westworld?
Oh. Yeah, got cannibals in Westworld.
Oh, okay. Okay. So not pictured here are Logan McLeod and Ed Brewer, but what is pictured here is Dakota Stanton, Viking Bitch, Penn Farm Girl, Apple Crow, Jody, Shakuri Llama, Eric, Richard Seth Jones, Christianette, Echo 9, Feisty Fan, Hi Feisty, Lawrence Howe, Isaiah Norton, Fan on Ruff, Johnny Pappas, Brian Smart, and Arturo Espinoza. I just like saying that name, Arturo Espinoza.
I haven't seen him for a while because I love the fuck Disney.
I know, yeah. Well, he probably watches this and video because I think he's like in another country, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. And Battle Marcus 8. I like that name. Is Expanse worth watching? Yes. Do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now. Like literally, go now.
Do it now. Get to the chopper.
Do it now. Get to the chopper. I'll never do that again. I promise. All right. So thank you, everybody in the chat.
Yes.
Jody, Battle Marcus. That's funny. Battle Marcus 8, by the way. There's 7 Battle Marcuses before that. He is the 8th and best version. K Sizzle, Logan McLeod, Feisty Fan, Penn Farm Girl, Vera. Do that one.
Vera Migisha.
Vera Migisha. And I just said it like somebody from the Midwest. Oh, it's Vera Migisha. She's from Sheboygan, Okay, so we got to thank our super chats too, which are Vera Magisha, $2, Logan McLeod, $5, Penn Farm Girl, $1.99, Bad Wobot, $5, and Feisty Fan, $1.99. Continue thanking people in there.
Thank you. We said Viking Bitch, Feisty Fan, Marcus. I'm gonna say Battle Marcus 8, Penn Farm Girl, Logan McLeod, Ed Brewer, K Sizzle. We have a couple other people. Apple Crow, how's your father? How is your father? How's your father? And I believe that is where we're at. There's some people that were beforehand.
Yeah, it doesn't let us go raw. I think it was Orion that had a couple of
Vera Magisha as well. I forgot Vera Magisha. And that is everyone.
All right, man. So take us out.
Children of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone, and thank you.